Okay, we're going to go with another CC playthrough, and this is Queen of the Vale by Warhawk, who I think I know from Prometheus Cove, mainly in last year's major, but there's been a couple of ones since then. I think he was in last year's CC, and World Cup I think was a late entrant. So yeah, I mean, looking at it, I think we got Boreal, I'd a guess. No, maybe not. Maybe Swiss. It's hard to tell. Can't quite see the bunker lips well enough. I think Boreal. Anyway, we're going to give it a go. Now, I do have one little concern before I start, and that's this. Like, normally I would just play off the back tees because I assume that's what you want judged. 7-7 is long, so I don't know which one you want judged. I've looked in the thread, there's no note. I'm going to assume it's the back tees. If it were on CC, they'd be using the green tees. I'm kind of conflicted about this. I'm going to go off the back tees because I see no reason not to. And for my first playthrough, all the comments are going to be based on that, and judging will be based on that. If you later put up anything about it, I'll be going back and revisiting it anyway. But yeah, it would have been good to know in the thread which one you wanted judged. Okay, yeah, we are Swiss. Alright, so mainly you're going to get my comments on things as I see them, and some of them you'll agree with, some of them less so, and that's all fine. But yeah, feel free to ask with any of them. So we're starting off with 425-yard par 4. I like the look of the green and the shape and the slope of it as well. It's a good look off the first tee. The first thing that really comes to mind is it's just empty a little bit. I think we needed some underbrush or something here, and the same down here, because just the look of the barrenness under the trees. I think everything in my field of vision here to here is great. I really love the look of the hole. I just wish I mound it or something. I think it needed. There's just a bit too much emptiness. Now, I think he mentioned in the thread that maybe he was running out of time, so I like the bunker shapes here. I mean, they've got character. I think they've got maybe a little too much going on with the shapes. They're very curvy, and I kind of think there's parts in here that are going to be really tricky if you hit into, which I guess is kind of the point, but I think you'd have a better effect, and it gets really thin up here. And same down here. I think the idea is good, just give them a bit more space. Tough first drive, so we can either lay up and we won't have that long in, or we can go round to the right and try and squeak a drive round. Going round to the right is bringing that slope in a little bit more. Are we going downhill? We are, we're going downhill quite significantly. So I think we can hit over to here. Oh, that slope will help us out nicely. I mean, maybe downwind you can clear that, maybe off the green tees you can clear that, I guess. I mean, I'll judge over the first 5 minutes or so and work out whether this is the right tee or not. 9 mile an hour wind, lovely. Sightline's good. Those bunkers, I'd like to see the last two a little bit more from here, but it's not a major thing. I would query maybe the sloping of the green, given that everything's falling right to left here. I don't understand why we've got a little dip. Not that I don't understand, it's fine, but it would make more sense if it was flowing that way and maybe this was a high tier rather than a low one. I think it would work a little better. And that needs to cling on. Yeah, that's not a good swing. Bunker sculpting is okay. The backs of the bunker could definitely be popped up a bit more. You can see how this is the same height as here. It would look better if you raised that, so it's not really falling in on itself quite as much. Green slopes are good. I think we've had and the size is appropriate for the length of hole. Oh, it was online. I think I'm not sold on the red cart path, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, first hole in the book. Second hole, kind of the same distance, so that's interesting. Where are we going? Okay, and we're going around to the green there. I like the green site. I think the sculpting here, the big land movement isn't quite making sense to me, because we've got water low, but then it rises and then falls down lower this way. I guess it works. I don't know, I think it would be a better hole if this bit was raised up and higher. I don't think I totally believe this water here, because we can see how it's all falling down here as well. I'm not saying I mind it being there. I think it works well strategically. It's just it's in a place that, with this slope going this way and then this one kind of going this way and then water there, it's visually just a little confusing. Okay, 394. You give me a lot of space to work with. I don't think I'm ever going to need this fairway down here. So, I mean, and let's say we are playing from the green tees, which I don't think we are based on this bunker, because that looks like a master club, pro club, like pro club hit fast, masters carry that. But let's say we are playing from the green tees. Yeah, we can hit down here or we can hit over here, and yes, I get that this fairway is wider, but it's I think it's the 90-degree nature of this that makes it a bit of a funky option. I don't know, I struggle to see anyone hitting all the way out there just to go for a 90-degree and come. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong. And yeah, we've got an illegal pin, which is it's unfortunate. Fairway wise, this little line I'd be smoothing out would make it look a little neater. Let's try and aim down this side and see what happens. Yeah, bunker sculpting again, because the two fairways are the same height, it's all dropping in down on itself. I like the planting here. I think you'd be better served if you made the bushes bigger and used fewer of them. It will take you less time and it will look better. When you do the lots of small bushes, it tends to get a bit patchy. Yeah, it's one of those pins where it looks okay from here, but I mean, if we're looking at it from the tee and we're getting it illegal, then I think we could be playtesting a bit more. I feel like bunker sculpting is going to be a bit of a theme. This one is falling back down the hill. I don't need every bunker to be like every back greenside bunker doesn't need hill up and flowing towards the player, but I think it does need a high side and a low side, and you haven't really decided which it is on this one. We tried our best. 144 greens. That's an interesting choice. Yeah, I think that's just... It's unfortunate about the bit of yellow by that pin, but it's only from the one view, so I don't mind it. It's not egregiously illegal. I'm coming round on the cart path. I quite like it, particularly when it's... What you've done well is to block out where it doesn't look as good as where it's really bright. So shadows over it. Yeah, this planting must have taken you ages. And I do think it would look better if it was larger. Same issues with these two bunkers. That one less so. Green shape's interesting. Okay, 578 yard par 5. Trying to work out how I feel about this drive. I don't think there's any incentive to go for here. I don't think it really gives me a much better angle. I think it brings more risk into play, and I also think if you're going to ask me to carry this as far as I can, let's not make it so that the further left I go, the quicker I run out. I just think you're trying to hit a perfect, like really inch perfect shot. I'd rather see you bring, if you're, like, I like this side where it's carry as much as you can and you choose how much you want to take off based on wind and fasts or whatever. But let's have that fairway go on here so that I'm rewarded if I do take on that big carry, because if I land it as close to this hazard as I can, I'm not getting rewarded. Because yeah, I mean, you can see with that, okay, I've hit a fast, but we're going to be running through most of that extra bit of fairway, which for CC, I think if people are taking on that risk, you really want to encourage them to do so. Alright. That's risky. I think we can probably get there. I do like this second shot. It's making me think. Planting wise, I'd like to see you have planted around the river edge a bit more in terms of the amount of coverage that you've got, but also a bit less in terms of thickness. The fact that you've planted so heavily here and then nothing here just makes it seem that that area just hasn't been touched. Whereas if you'd broken it up a bit more here, a bit more patchy here, 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 and do the same amount of planting but spread it out more, you'll get a better look. Right, let's go for this. Need a fast or a slow, either will work. Oh, there's a shot. Well, that's by far and away more luck than judgment. 246 yard par 3. Okay. I think this is a little too long perhaps for me for CC, but at least to the back pin I think it is. But I appreciate you've given us a nice big green. I think green sizes have been on point, and that's something that people have not been nailing in this contest so far. I'm trying to decide what I think about the bunker in front. To me it looks like it would suit a bit of planting better than a bunker, but I'm okay with that as a way of just slow backswing. And not even close to... Well, there goes that albatross. I don't know how that happened. That's literally the exact same swing. Weird. Bunker sculpting again in the back. I've got to feel... I think you know this, maybe just ran out of time, but they are all just they're folding in on themselves a bit too much. It's not actually the work inside the bunker that looks it's maybe a little heavy-handed in places, just a bit heavy on the flatten brush here. It's more the backs of the bunkers that I think we can smooth out a bit more. Okay, let's see if we can only just drop the one shot. It's not moving a huge amount. Barely moving at all. That's a good bogey if ever there was one. I actually felt that hole played shorter than it looked. It'd probably be different to different pins, and I'll give other pins a try in the future. I'm gonna wait and see if you publish anything about green or white tees or whatever it was. Okay, split fairway. I do like that you've committed to the bunkering, and the bunkering actually is looking a lot better than it did on the first hole. They're a little wider. I think you've got more of a handle on the shapes you're using now, and that happens. Okay. Yeah, I think we've designed it for these tees based on carry distances. We should be able to clear that. Yeah. I like the split fairway as a way of adding, and the way you've done it diagonally is nice. It does add an option. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Tricky little pin. Bowling in a touch. trying to get perfect, but a slow will do. Tend to play for either fast or slows usually. Green slopes wise, yeah, I'd have probably, for the sake of what's the word? Correct architecture, I'd have probably tried to have a runoff here so that you're not getting all the water or beads bowling to here. Now I know that drainage might seem like a really nitpicky term, but I think you'll end up with fewer balls congregating around here, and just once you start looking at it, it generally leads to better slopes. For the most part, this green's good though, and I do like. Yeah, I really like the general slopes on this green. Greens have been the standout so far. Yeah, I have to say I'm not noticing the emptiness under the trees quite so much at the moment. It was just that first hole where it really stood out, I think because you had the tree line so wide. When they're in tighter here, it looks good. I'm enjoying it. And the cart path frames the holes nicely. Okay, opening up over a bit more water. I think this course, it's tough with Swiss. It really could have used a bit more of a visual clout other than just using the backdrop, which after a while you've kind of seen it before. Oh, that wasn't very fast, that was me. Oh, let's go. Okay, well, at least we chewed up some distance. It also doesn't, maybe this approach might be the one that does feel it, but it doesn't feel as long as it looked on the card. Because I think we had two very fast in a row. Let's have a look at the scorecard. Yeah, front nine of 4,000 yards is insanely long, particularly for a CC contest. If we go to a recent major contest, Conservatory West had 4,000 on the back nine. 1 sec. Yeah. Carry on. I don't know what my wife wanted. And grab. Yeah, make another decent up and down. But yeah, I think for CC, 4,000 is really pushing it. Right, as in, that's not even pushing it, that's way beyond what we should be doing. CC is, I'd say, 3.8 maximum. Probably 3.7. We don't play any courses longer than 7,400 at most. I'm not loving the look of this fairway. It's very straight for a very long time. Then I think part of what we're seeing also is where you've planted is it is what it is, but because you haven't planted anywhere else, it's standing out as looking a little awkward. Okay, long par 5. Does it matter where I hit it? I like we're using a camber. I think the camber's it's too severe. I'd have flattened that out a little. I guess I maybe have an easier shot going up to there if I'm down here, but I don't think it makes a huge difference. I also think you're starting your fairways way too short. It's starting at around 150, I think. And we're also tapering from, if I'm laying up, I've actually got less fairway to hit than if I go for it, which I don't think is, I'd rather the fairway narrowed down the further you hit, or stayed the same, either's good. We're just going to go down this side because, like I said, I don't think it matters, and I don't want to risk the side slope. Because we're not getting there in 2. Up 75 feet. Right, okay. I think if you're going with a 3-shot par 5, you've either got to make it really strategic, or you've got to make the second or third shots really interesting. I can see what you've done here in that actually I've got more of a backstop if I go down here. I think the length of layup I'd have had compared to here. Maybe it's still a sand wedge. Yeah, I guess it was probably better to lay up here. I don't know, this split fairway and the planting only being here feels just a touch artificial. Oh, that's another dreadful swing. Hit that slope. No. No, we're going to have a really bad putt. That, believe it or not, is the worst swing I've made. Okay. It's not a great putt either. May not make our par. Yeah, I kind of just felt the second shot was either... I guess it was just make a choice. It wasn't really threatened. Now obviously I've been penalised in that I had a tougher wedge in, because if I'd come in from the left, I'm probably funneling back down towards the pin with that same swing. But other than making the choice, I don't think there was anything really forcing me to work with that shot. Okay, we've got another really long par 3. For me, either you do the first one or you do this. And we've got a beer. It's for... I just don't think it. I don't think this fits the course at all. We haven't had swales in the greens. We haven't had runoffs. We haven't had big undulations in and around. It's not a rainer course. We're just doing it for the sake of having an idea of a par 3. Let's see if we can hop on. No, just missed our spot. I mean, I'm not the biggest Biarritz fan anyway, but I think they've really got to fit the environment and make sense in the context of the course. 262 is monstrous for CC. Similar comments, I think, here with emptiness, particularly between tee to fairway. Whereas here I quite like the simplicity of seeing the water in the distance. I think you've probably over bunkered here. This one I'd have lost and just kept it as fairway. I don't know, I think you need to be really thoughtful about whether you're using bunkers next to water, because water's a great hazard and let's try to make more of it. 580 up par 4. I would have loved to have had a shorter hole somewhere on this 9. I think the shortest we've had was 430 on the first 2 holes. This green I quite like. I think I'd like to see this tier smoothed out a bit so that it just looks we've drawn one hard line and then called it a day. I'd rather see some flattening so that maybe the tier's in halves, or like you've got a gradual slope here and then more severe, or that sort of stuff you tend to see a bit more in real life. And the little mound here, again in isolation I quite like this as a way of giving us a little kicker slope, but we've not seen it anywhere else, and the rest of the green is pretty much dead flat, so it really jars. Okay, we've got pretty much a dead flat putt, which almost certainly will miss. Oh no, we're good. Yeah, I think a lot of this is the last 2 holes we've had ideas that I don't think have totally meshed with what the rest of the course is doing. This sort of hole fits with your aesthetic that you've gone with, and I like it because you've used a green site, you've done your planting in front. The bunkers are like, it's not trying to be different for the sake of being different. It's just trusting that putting a golf hole in that environment will work, and I'd like to see more of this. Smaller green, but it's a shorter hole. The bunkering around the green, again I'd like you to drop the land in front so that we can really see those bunkers, because I'm pretty certain I won't be able to see them from the approach. Lines off the tee, I'd like to think if we're putting bunkers around here then you've got a better angle from this side. Don't think it massively matters. Maybe to a back right pin you want to go that way, but I would like to see a bit more on that. Okay, let's make sure we just get over that false front, hopefully. And yeah, I think this is either a planting issue or a bunkers issue. I actually think it's a bit of both. That we can't see those bunkers. Because they're a really good part of framing the hole. It's a slow this time. That's okay. We can play with that. And we've hit the false front because I can't hit the right speed of putt. That's not a you thing, that's me. Whoa, is that pin a bit... no, it's fine. You made the fact that false front was there was very clear. Tough hole, at least with that pin. Again, another really long par 5, and I feel like it's going to get longer because of where you've angled the dog leg. Because unless I can clear that corner... I mean, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of 90-degree dog legs. It's really forced. Either you're playing here, in the sense, as in, when I say really forced, I mean what your plays are just like, either you can or you can't. There's no, like, either I can play here, or I can play out to, like, way over this way. And there's nothing very much in between. As it is with this wind, I think we can go over and into the bunker because we pull it. That's fine. And so even if we do make that, we're maybe just about making it up to the green. That may not make it over. Yeah, I did realise that. This is me playing stupid golf. 5-iron should be okay. Oh no, okay. Is that green, is that bunker a touch deep, or is that just me playing a stupid shot? I think it's mostly me. It's pretty deep for a fairway bunker. Okay, and yeah, again, I think it desperately needed a bit more planting underneath the trees. Just, yeah, to make it pop a little more. Yeah. Once again, we're making another good bogey. Kind of used up all of that albatross now, haven't I? I like the mound on the right. I'm interested to see how that comes into play. Not sure it really does, which is, I think it's a shame. So okay, and green's kind of banked into these bunkers. I'd rather have seen you bring the green closer to the hill and have you play away from the hill, and then you get more of an angle in. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Where were we? Yeah, I think bringing the mound in would give you a bit more variety, and you've got this hill. Let's try to use that a little bit more. This green feels like we've gone maybe a touch small. I'm presuming we've got a pin probably somewhere around here, or here and one back. Yeah, I think we've gone a bit small with this one. I would have also liked for it not to be blind, because I've hit driver. I guess there's a bit of blindness down here, but you're going to have to hit... Again, this is where I question, is this the right tee set? Because with what we're hitting in from that tee, I don't know if you can ever have that not blind. No, that might leave an interesting putt. Yeah, we've got another illegal pin, unfortunately. And this is one where I kind of thought it was when I hit my approach, just looking at the way it's slanted. Oh, we'll either make this or bust. Oh, that's a good putt. Okay, shorter hole. Oh, this has come out of nowhere. This bunkering really, for me, doesn't fit. It's very over the top in a way that actually you've used these shapes before, but they've been much more subtle. I don't really understand the slope back here. Have we got a pin down there? And if so, it's all bowling towards it rather than flowing off the back of the green, which would make a bit more sense. 36 playing 1. Let's go with that. I like the uphill 3 for a bit of variety. All the ones we've had so far have been downhill. I mean, they have been very long, so probably a good thing. Oh, I thought that was good for a while. Yeah, this hole feels kind of like your Biarritz par 3 in that we've bunkered really heavily in front of it just for a bit of variety rather than trusting that what you do has been good. I like the central hazard here. I mean, most of my comments are really kind of the same thing. I feel like I'm pretty sure I've seen that you've said you run out of time a little, and I think it shows with the planting, and certainly I'm sure you'd have caught some of those pins. So this one we've got a narrow side where we can hit, or we can hit this side. Down 15, probably with the wind we can go down there. I think I'm happy going down to here. Loft down just a touch in case. Yeah, same things with the bunkers. The sculpting at the back is quite nice. Where you've done the fingers is decent. It's just the front of all of them needs dropping down by about 3 or 4 feet. Slow again. Yeah. It's not even slow by a tiny bit, it's by miles. I don't have that. Okay. I think there have been a lot of solid holes here. There haven't been very many that have blown me away and that I think are real stunners. I do like when you've used the water and really brought that in as negative space. It is really tough when the tree line is just kind of a tree line. This hole looks lovely. Again, I think the sculpting here it looks a little artificial in the way that we are dead at fairway height and then we're dropping down to the pond here. I don't know. Again, I think I'm playing off the right tees, but I could be wrong. I do like the way you've done the little dual plane water trick to get the rough all the way to the edge. That's nice. Bunkers, these two are okay. This one is struggling, particularly this back clip, because you need to raise this more. You can see it looks like it's just going off into the horizon, and that's because you need to bump the land up behind it a bit more and bring the actual bunker surface away from it. Let's go down there. Oh, I needed more wind. Assuming I was going to get a fast and bring it back in. I mean, even if I'm hitting the fairway, am I reaching? Probably, yeah. Oh, there's a very fast. And that's because I didn't get the fast the previous time. Anyway, green-wise, I like that we're dropping back down here. I think that adds a bit of interest. I'd still maintain that generally I think the greens are the best part of this course. We've had a couple of weird ones, but mostly good. So I'm hoping we can funnel that down that slope. And it's not going to stop there. Oh, game. It's just unlucky, isn't it? 16 feet. Yeah, it didn't quite turn back enough. I do feel par 5s need a little bit of element of risk and reward. You had it on the tee shot, I don't think we really had it on the second. But then again, I was playing the second from the heavy rough, so maybe that's part of it. Okay, we've got another short par 3. I'd have liked this one to be somewhere on the front line to balance out those two really long ones. Swap one of your really long 3s with this one on the back, or something along those lines. Small green. The rocks again have kind of come out of nowhere. I feel like we're doing stuff for the sake of stuff, in that we've got a short par 3, what can we do to make it unique, rather than let's just trust that I don't know, we haven't seen rocks anywhere else on this course, and they jar a bit because of that. I'm down 11 feet, a couple of little feeder slopes. Again, I'm okay with the green sizes here. Oh, it's not a great shot, but it'll do. That will do nicely. Yeah, I think had you had more time, that's got the potential to be a really nice hole. I like that you've balanced it then with a long par 4 to follow. That works out well. I'd have probably opened up the tree line a bit so that we can see this. Bunkering here is great. Like that a lot, those shapes. They're a bit bigger than we've seen. Whilst the green shapes have been pretty good, I think the bunker shapes and sizes have varied pretty dramatically. Again, I don't love that we're cutting the fairway in here. I don't see why, because if we're landing there, then I don't know, I think you're forcing precision that you don't need to, particularly at CC level. If we're drawing it around here, it will look better. It will give a better option, whereas I feel it's forcing me into that bunker a bit more than I would like. And we've hit a slow, but we're getting away with it. I do think this is one of the best holes on the course that I've played so far. I really like this bunkering here. I really like that I would want to play as far left as I can for a pin over here. I think the green slope for a hole this long is maybe a touch severe, and that spine feels like we could have blended it in a bit better. I think this one, let's try and let the wind take it over. Oh, we just hit that runoff. That's unfortunate. I don't think the green slopes on this tier make as much sense as they could. We're coming down here, but then we're also coming down to this bit, and we're kind of flowing off here, and we're kind of flowing off there, and we're kind of flowing off there. I think we could do that. Yeah. I like the whole layout. The actual green here, unlike most of the others, has underwhelmed a bit. Okay, let's see what we've got for 18 then. Par 4, Okay, not super long. Bit of elevation, which breaks it up a little. That's nice. Bunkering all down the left. Yeah, we're back to more of the openness that happened on the first hole. I'd have liked to have seen more of this hole off the tee. I think you don't need to bring the trees in this much. It actually harms it a little bit, and that we can't see exactly where we're going. I like the tee shot though. The fact that it's kind of carry as much as you can is less either you can or you can't than we've had on some previous holes. Again, green slope here is too harsh for my liking. Don't know, I think if you're going to have giant mounds in the greens, you've got to justify them, and the rest of the land's got to make sense with it. And we're actually pretty flat everywhere else, and then we've just got this 2-foot slope in the green, and a runoff all the way back. Okay, and a 10-mile-an-hour wind. Well, this is going to be entertaining. Let's go with that. That's okay. Yeah, clubhouse. Again, I think it shows that we ran out of time a little. Come on, let's chip in to finish. Nope, unlucky. Still, -4 I will take on a course of that length. Obviously helped massively by the RB on 2, on the third even. Just going through kind of the rubric as we've got it, and categories and what have you. Playability and shot values. I felt there were options there. They were quite, to be honest, the distance rendered a lot of them just, you're hitting as far down the fairway as you can to have a second shot, particularly on that front nine. I don't feel like there were that many holes that let me make my own choices. I felt there was always a kind of relatively obvious one, or we were just doing it by this side of the fairway is wide, the other side of the hazard is really narrow, and it's kind of how confident you feel, is rather than which one had any strategic benefit to it. What else would I be talking about? Shot values. I would have liked some short holes in there. I don't think I hit wedge into holes very much. A couple of times. Definitely did on, was it 12? Short par 4 with the mound. But often it was a bit point and shoot for me. I wasn't really thinking. And there were some misses, and there were some areas which were... there was some strategy on each hole. I think you could benefit from angling your greens a bit more and really making them more receptive to shots from one side or another. I do think for the most part the greens were good, and those really helped with the playability because you were able to use slopes. Sometimes those slopes were a bit severe, or they came out of nowhere a little bit. And I think that's, again, you've said you've run out of time a little bit, that's partly it. Technical execution, I mean, the bunkers are the main thing. We need to be seeing more of them. They need to have a clearly defined high side and low side, rather than doing the bathtub bunker thing in the middle. And that's just dropping it down a few feet at the bottom and raising at the top. That'll help your sight lines immensely. I also think the way you're cutting the fairways is technical execution as well, because we're just bringing them in for, I mean, the sake of bringing them in. I think the other thing I'll go to with playability and shot values is I don't think this is a CC course, certainly not off those tees. I play on CCA, and we would never play a course that's this long. We'd be playing off the green tees all day long. Now, it may well be that you revised this. I'm looking at this the morning after you've published, so it may well be that you go and update the thread and say play from these tees. But I think if you're going to make a kind of championship version of your CC course, you've got to post that in the thread. Aesthetics and environment, yeah, this part really kind of showed that we were let down with time. The planting that you have done, I think, would be better if you spaced it out, made the plants a bit bigger. Also, just trust in your environment. Things like the rock wall on 16, we don't need to chuck that in there because you've kind of created the look that you want with that course, and then that really goes against it and does something completely different. Also, planting more around the perimeter of holes would really help holes like that split fairway par 5, I think the 7th, where we've suddenly got a load of planting in the middle of the hole and it looks really artificial because we've not done it anywhere else. Routing flow cohesion variety of holes, main thing would be switching up the par 3s. I think we had 2 very long par 5s. On CC I'd like to see only 1. A lot of the par 4s were pretty beefy. We're missing in that sub 400 range. We're really missing some holes. For CC, we'd want if you put some in the 370-ish range, you'll get some really good holes there where it's, do I want to lay up for a pitch, and that alone will force you to include some more interesting twists on how you do strategy rather than necessarily just hit it here or hit it here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. As ever, do comment or kind of get in contact if you've got any questions. Very happy to chat via PM or whatever. But yeah, that's Queen of Vale, and good luck.